Somewhere beneath Buckingham Palace, there are rooms that don't appear on any public floor plan. Temperature controlled, access restricted, contents catalogued in systems the public will never fully review. Inside those rooms sit well over 50 tiaras, and the ones you recognize from photographs represent a fraction of what's stored there. Most of those pieces haven't been on anyone's head in decades. Some haven't been seen publicly since the reign of George VI. A few have been gone so long that historians debate whether they still exist at all. Every piece has a reason it's dark. Fashion changed and left certain styles behind. Beloved women died, and their most personal jewelry retreated with them. A handful carry reputations dark enough that no one since has volunteered to wear them. And one woman, one specific, ferociously acquisitive queen consort, broke a significant portion of them apart entirely, redistributing their diamonds into objects that survived while the originals vanished. These are 20 of them. We're counting down from the least dramatically absent to the one whose disappearance lasted nearly a century, and whose return, in November 2023, changed what we thought we knew about what those rooms in the dark still hold. Number 20. The Brazilian Aquamarine Tiara. Not every vaulted tiara carries a Gothic story. Some disappear through nothing more dramatic than being consistently overlooked. The Brazilian Aquamarine Tiara sits somewhere in the royal collection, its pale blue aquamarines and surrounding diamonds noted by royal observers in every list of tiaras we never see, and never chosen for any public occasion in living memory. No state banquet, no formal portrait, no official explanation has been offered. In a collection of more than 50 tiaras, being passed over consistently enough for long enough constitutes its own kind of disappearance. The category this falls into is the simplest, and possibly the most common: collector's inertia. Too many options, and some pieces simply never get chosen. That's all it takes. Number 19. The Regal Circlet. Gerard made this in 1853 for Queen Victoria, with crosses pâté, removable fleur-de-lis, and a fitting specifically designed to hold the Koh-i-Noor diamond. It passed through Queen Alexandra in 1901, Queen Mary in 1910, and Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother in 1936. Then, in 1937, its diamonds were stripped out and redistributed into Queen Elizabeth's consort crown for the upcoming coronation of King George VI. The royal collection holds the Regal Circlet today, the structural bones of a remarkable Victorian tiara, its original diamonds now living inside other pieces entirely. The frame exists. What gave it life doesn't, and hasn't since 1937. Number 18. Queen Victoria's Diamond and Emerald Tiara. Joseph Kitching of Collingwood & Son made this in 1845, a neo-Gothic circlet with alternating spikes, some tipped with large cabochon emeralds, others topped with single white diamonds, the base set with hundreds of brilliant cut stones arranged in quarterfoil patterns. It appeared in formal royal portraits throughout Victoria's reign. In 1997, it was loaned for a Wartski exhibition in London, one of its last confirmed public appearances. After that, nothing. Jewelry historians now surmise it may have been sold and possibly dismantled. No confirmed sighting has been recorded since that 1997 loan. A vault is, at minimum, an address. This tiara doesn't appear to have one anymore. Number 17. The Ladies of England. Tiara, dismantled. In 1893, 650 ladies of England collectively commissioned and gifted a diamond tiara to Princess Mary of Teck, the woman who would become Queen Mary, as a wedding gift. Hunt and Roskell made it. It was designed as a convertible piece, wearable as a necklace, a corsage ornament, or a tiara. 650 individual women contributed to buy it. At some point after 1910, Queen Mary had it dismantled. The diamonds were redistributed, some becoming part of the lover's knot tiara, which still gets worn today. The Ladies of England tiara itself no longer exists as an object. This is the Queen Mary problem, and it deserves its own explanation. Queen Mary of Teck, born at Kensington Palace on 26 May 1867, became Queen Consort to George V and spent the better part of 5 decades systematically reshaping the British royal collection's jewelry holdings. One associate noted that by nature, she was more interested in looking than in listening. She acquired constantly, at estate sales, as gifts, through inheritance, and she didn't treat jewels as untouchable heirlooms. What she saw as inferior settings or outdated arrangements, she improved. What she saw as raw material for something better, she used. Sir Hugh Roberts's definitive study of the collection describes her as one of the 3 monarchs who most significantly shaped what the royal collection holds today. The Ladies of England tiara was one of the casualties. The Royal Portrait tiara, a Boucheron piece made in 1902 and set with 675 diamonds, over 100 of them collected during the 1901 Royal Tour of South Africa, was dismantled in 1911, and its stones used to create the Delhi Durbar tiara. The County of Surrey necklace, gifted in 1893, was broken up in 1913, and its 13 largest diamonds redistributed to the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. The Collingwood fringe tiara was dismantled in 1919. Its diamonds repurposed for the modern fringe tiara that Queen Elizabeth II wore on her wedding day in 1947. Queen Mary isn't the villain of this story, exactly. The pieces that exist today because of her, the Vladimir tiara, still active in the collection, the Lover's Knot, favored by Princess Diana and now by Kate, exist because of her acquisitions and modifications. But the originals don't exist at all. Several tiaras that should be in royal vaults simply aren't, because Queen Mary turned them into something else, and the something else survived, while the original didn't. Number 16. The Delhi Durbar tiara. Emeralds removed. This one is complicated. Gerard created the Delhi Durbar tiara in 1911 as part of an entire parure, necklace, earrings, stomacher, made from the diamonds of the dismantled Royal Portrait tiara. The purpose was specific. King George V and Queen Mary couldn't take any of the crown jewels out of Britain, so they needed something spectacular for the Delhi Durbar in India, which was to be the grandest display of British imperial power in the subcontinent's history. The tiara was made to serve that single occasion. Originally, 10 Cambridge emeralds were set in detachable mounts at its top. In 1922, those emeralds were permanently removed and incorporated into the Vladimir tiara. The tiara then passed to Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, who wore it on the 1947 South Africa tour, and then to Queen Elizabeth II, who inherited it in 2002 and never wore it publicly. Its colonial provenance is now its most complicated feature. Created explicitly for imperial pageantry in India, it has quietly retreated from any modern royal outing. Queen Camilla has been listed as a holder of the piece, but no public appearance has been documented. Number 15. The Triumph of Love. Tiara. Princess Margaret's turquoise diadem. There is only one turquoise tiara in the entire royal collection. One. And it hasn't been seen in public since February 2002. Gerard created this piece in 1900, and it arrived in the royal family's hands as a gift to Lady Elizabeth Bowes Lyon when she married Prince Albert, Duke of York, in 1923. Gifted by King George V as part of a complete parure that included a necklace, brooch, and earrings. The tiara's structure is gold and platinum covered in delicate diamonds, with large Persian turquoise stones placed throughout. Pale blue-green, vivid against all the white diamonds, like nothing else the royal collection contains. Its design motifs gave it its name: lovers' knots, laurel wreaths, lamps of love, triumphal arches. The Triumph of Love. Woman in Home describes it as featuring lamps of love, triumphal laurels, and true lovers' knots. And the Persian turquoise stones, known for symbolizing victory and prosperity in their country of origin, are estimated at significant carat weight. The Queen Mother wore it occasionally, but it was her daughter who claimed it. In 1951, as Princess Margaret's 21st birthday gift, the Queen Mother passed the entire turquoise parure down to her younger daughter. Margaret, who had a gift for identifying the most striking jewelry in any collection and claiming it as her signature, wore the turquoise tiara repeatedly at white tie events throughout the 1950s. It suited her, unconventional, vivid, slightly theatrical, unlike anything any other royal wore. After Margaret's death on 9 February 2002, the tiara's location became genuinely uncertain. A Christie's sale of Princess Margaret's jewelry collection in 2006, 800 pieces in total, included the Poltimore tiara, which fetched £920,000 against a £150,000 to £200,000 estimate. Whether the Persian turquoise tiara was part of that sale is unconfirmed in any available source. Experts believe it remains in the royal vaults. Nobody has confirmed this. Nobody has seen it. The only turquoise tiara in the entire collection, last worn by a woman who died more than 20 years ago, may be sitting in a Windsor vault, or may have passed quietly out of royal hands entirely. The uncertainty is itself a kind of story. Number 14. The Double Meander Tiara. This is one of the Queen Mother's pieces that has essentially vanished from royal consciousness. References to it describe it as a mysterious and hidden British royal treasure. Documentary evidence of its existence appears in photographs of the Queen Mother, but it hasn't surfaced at any public occasion in decades, and no recent confirmed sighting exists. The meander motif, a repeating geometric Greek key pattern, was fashionable in late Victorian and Edwardian jewelry design. That style never quite came back, and pieces built around it have tended to stay in their boxes. Number 13. The Delhi Durbar Parure. The rest of it. The tiara was one piece. The full Delhi Durbar Parure, necklace, earrings, stomacher, and a bandeau that converts to a necklace, represents the most ambitious single jewelry commission in the British Royal Collection's history. Gerard created all of it in 1911. Queen Mary wore pieces of the parure regularly throughout her reign. The parure was designed to impress a subcontinent, and it succeeded on that original occasion. Since then, its very grandeur and its explicit imperial associations have made it increasingly difficult to deploy. No modern royal has worn the complete parure publicly. Individual pieces emerge occasionally. The full set together hasn't been seen as a unified display in living memory. Number 12. Queen Victoria's Sapphire and Diamond Tiara. Prince Albert commissioned this for Queen Victoria, and it appeared in a portrait by Franz Xavier Winterhalter in 1842, and again in a portrait by Richard Graves in 1874. Neo-Gothic in style, large cushion and kite-cut sapphires set in silver and gold, sweeping spikes alternately tipped with single diamonds or diamond trefoils. In January 2012, it emerged from the private collection of the Earl and Countess of Harewood for a charity event hosted by Geoffrey Munn. Munn being the author of the definitive book on tiara history. That 2012 appearance is the most recent confirmed public sighting. Where it sits now, and whether it's in private hands or part of a heritage collection, is undocumented in available records. Number 11. Princess Alice's Wedding Tiara. The other strawberry leaf. Now, before we get to the most famous and most cursed tiara on this list, we need to establish something critical. There are two separate strawberry leaf tiaras, two distinct objects, both designed by Prince Albert, both tragically associated with royal deaths. One now sits in a German foundation vault, unworn for nearly 90 years. The other has had a stranger and more uncertain fate. Queen Victoria's own strawberry leaf tiara was made with rubies, originally set into the strawberry leaf base and along the ornate spires. In 1933, Cartier was commissioned by Lady Irene Denison, wife of the Marquess of Carisbrooke, who was Queen Victoria's grandson, to remove all the rubies and replace them with diamonds. The piece became entirely diamond set, the cold fire of all-white stones replacing the warm red of the original design. Its location after that conversion is poorly documented. Jewelry historians note that as early as 2002, experts surmised it may have been sold and possibly dismantled. Its current whereabouts are unknown. The other strawberry leaf tiara, the Hess one, the one with the body count, is coming. But not yet. Number 10. The Tech Crescent Tiara. The provenance of this piece goes back to 1857, when Princess Mary, Duchess of Gloucester, died and left her diamonds to Princess Mary Adelaide, Duchess of Teck. Those diamonds included a bandeau and 3 diamond roses. Princess Mary Adelaide had the crescents mounted in 1871. Gerard assembled the complete tiara in its final form in 1882, combining the inherited bandeau, the 3 roses, and 20 individual diamond crescents, 20 of them, arranged along the base in a sequence that reads as distinctly, specifically, unmistakably Victorian. The crescents are the detail that defines this piece. In the late 19th century, the crescent motif was everywhere in jewelry, astronomically inspired, delicate, associated with Diana and with night. By the time Edwardian fashion gave way to 1920s geometry and Art Deco angularity, the crescent style was already starting to feel historical. The Tech Crescent tiara never made the transition. It passed through Queen Mary, who, remarkably, chose not to dismantle this one, and was gifted in 1937 to Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, along with a diamond hoop necklace. A new platinum frame was made at the time. 2 supplementary rows of diamonds were removed for the redesign. The Queen Mother wore it through 1939. The last documented public wearing was during the Canadian Royal Tour that year. And then it essentially stopped. World War II started. Afterward, the post-war aesthetic made the crescent style look even more dated. Queen Elizabeth II inherited the tiara in 2002 and never wore it publicly. The last time it was seen at all, displayed, not worn, was at the Victoria and Albert Museum Tiara exhibition in 2001. Queen Camilla has been on long-term loan of the Tech Crescent since September 2022, when she became the relevant next custodian. She has never worn it publicly. An 84-year gap between last wearings, a new custodian who has shown no inclination to break it, and a style so specifically of its era that it would require either remarkable confidence or a deliberately historical occasion to deploy. The 20 diamond crescents are sitting in their box in the dark. Number 9. The Oriental Circlet, recently resurrected. This one is a partial exception to the vault rule, which is worth noting. Gerard created the Oriental Circlet in 1853 under the direction of Prince Albert. 2,600 natural diamonds, and a collection of opals originally, the design inspired by jewels presented to Queen Victoria by the East India Company, its Mughal-inspired lotus flowers and regal arches, giving it an entirely different visual character from anything else in British royal jewelry. Queen Alexandra inherited it in 1901, and immediately had the opals replaced with Burmese rubies, because Alexandra considered opals unlucky. She also reduced the number of arches from 17 to 11 sections. Queen Victoria had stipulated in her will that the Oriental Circlet was to be worn by queens and future queens only. It passed from the Queen Mother, who wore it frequently, including for the eve of Queen Elizabeth II's coronation in 1953, to Queen Elizabeth II, who wore it exactly once, during a state visit to Malta in 2005. After that, nearly 20 years of nothing. On December 3, 2025, Kate Middleton wore it to the German state banquet at Buckingham Palace, becoming the first Princess of Wales, rather than a queen, ever to wear the piece, directly contravening Queen Victoria's original restriction. Royal Fashion Police noted that royal watchers were delighted by the nod to history, as this piece had long been worn only by British queens until now. It's been seen. It has a recent future. It belongs on this list as the proof that vault pieces can come back, but it's no longer truly locked away, which is why it sits here at number 9 rather than higher. Number 8. The Queen Mary Fringe Tiara. What came before it? The tiara Queen Elizabeth II wore on her wedding day in 1947, and which Princess Anne wore in 1973, and Princess Beatrice wore in 2020, began its life as a fringe necklace that was a wedding gift to Queen Mary from Queen Victoria. Queen Mary wore it in her hair for years before commissioning Gerard in 1919 to convert it into a Kokoschnik-style piece. 47 graduated brilliant and rose-set tapering bars, separated by 46 narrower spikes, convertible back into a necklace. The point here isn't the tiara that exists, but the tiara that preceded it. The original necklace Queen Victoria gave is gone, converted into its current form by Mary's preference for adaptation over preservation. What is worn today is Mary's reconstruction of a Victorian original. The Victorian original no longer exists. Number 7. The Fife Tiara. The Fife Tiara's story begins in February 1867 with the birth of Princess Louise Victoria Alexandra Dagmar, daughter of Princess Alexandra of Denmark and the Prince of Wales, the future King Edward VII. The tiara passed through the Fife family over generations and was recently displayed at Kensington Palace in April 2025, which means it has a physical address. Its history in active royal use, however, has been thin for decades. The court jeweler's Lauren Keena photographed it during the Kensington Palace display, proof of existence, documented as heritage property, but no modern royal has worn it at a public engagement in any recent documented record. It sits in the category of pieces that exist, are preserved, and are seen only in exhibition contexts rather than on any living royal's head. Number 6. The Strathmore Rose Tiara, before 2023. The design is specific and worth understanding before we get to the story. Catchpole and Williams, a London jeweler, made this piece in the late 19th century. 5 diamond-paved rose flowers in a naturalistic garland arrangement, a central rose at the peak, 2 roses flanking it symmetrically on each side, diamond leafage connecting the blooms. The 5 roses are detachable. Each can be unpinned and worn separately as a brooch. There are 2 frames, allowing the tiara to sit either low across the forehead in the 1920s bandeau style or higher atop the head. The diamonds are old cut, set in silver and gold, and they have the slightly warmer, slightly softer sparkle that distinguishes 19th century cutting from modern precision. Lady Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon received this as a wedding gift from her parents, the Earl and Countess of Strathmore and Kinghorn, on April 26, 1923, the day she married Prince Albert, Duke of York. She wore it through the mid-1920s and into the early 1930s, in formal portraits, at significant occasions, in the photographs that document her early years as Duchess of York. The last documented public wearing came in approximately 1935. When her husband unexpectedly became King George VI in December 1936, following the abdication of Edward VIII, the tiara that had suited a duchess no longer felt appropriate for a queen consort. It retreated from public view. Queen Elizabeth II inherited the Strathmore Rose in 2002 when the Queen Mother died. She never wore it publicly, not once in the remaining 2 decades of her reign. A piece first given to a living royal in 1923 sat in a Windsor vault for approximately 88 years without appearing on anyone's head. Then, November 2023 happened. But we're not there yet. Number 5. Queen Anne-Marie of Greece's Emerald Tiara. European royal houses have their own vault stories, and Greece's is one of the more operatic. According to the court jeweler's research, Queen Anne-Marie of Greece's treasured emerald tiara has survived a revolution, a masked ball catastrophe, and, this detail is genuinely extraordinary, being left behind in an Italian hotel room by a forgetful prince. The piece has resurfaced at various points across decades, its survival dependent on a series of near misses rather than careful stewardship. Whether it currently sits in active use or in private storage reflects the larger pattern of royal houses whose jewelry collections were scattered across multiple countries when their monarchies ended. Number 4. The Tech Ears of Wheat Tiara. The wheat ear ornaments that make up this tiara appear in the collection of Princess Mary Adelaide of Cambridge, the same woman responsible for assembling the Tech Crescent tiara. The pieces can be worn in multiple configurations on a tiara frame. Per the court jeweler's research, they appear in the jewelry documentation attached to the family as early as can be traced, but their precise origins remain undocumented. They pass through the Tech family, eventually reaching a branch of the extended royal family tree where they have remained largely out of public circulation. The visual, diamond wheat sheaves, agricultural and neoclassical at once, is immediately arresting, and their combined obscurity and age gives them a particularly strong claim to genuine vault status. Number 3. The Hess's Strawberry Leaf Tiara. According to most specialist accounts, in 1861, Prince Albert commissioned a wedding present for his daughter Princess Alice, who had just become engaged to Prince Louis of Hesse and by Rhine. He gave the commission to Gerard. The design, as documented in Godey's magazine catalogue of Alice's wedding gifts, was described as a very beautiful tiara of diamonds, composed of a rich bandeau with foliage, spires, and so on. Diamond strawberry leaves, upright spires, the bandeau base set throughout with the foliage motif. All diamonds, approximately 10 centimeters in height. A genuinely beautiful object, and one that was designed by a man who loved his daughter and wanted to give her something remarkable. Prince Albert died before the wedding could take place, on the 14th of December, 1861, of typhoid fever. The wedding went ahead anyway, small and quiet, the court still in deep mourning. Queen Victoria described by historians as inconsolable. The tiara was given to Princess Alice by her mother, with Victoria specifically noting in her diary that Albert had designed it himself. Alice carried it to Germany, to her new home in Hesse-Darmstadt, where she wore it regularly throughout her life and at official occasions. Alice died on the 14th of December, 1877, of diphtheria, exactly 16 years to the day after her father died. She was 35. Her son Friedrich had already died falling from a window. Her daughter Marie had died before her. The tiara passed to Alice's surviving son Ernst, who became Grand Duke of Hesse. His first wife, Grand Duchess Victoria Melita, wore it to the coronation of Tsar Nicholas II in 1896. Their only child died of typhoid. They divorced. Ernst gave the tiara to his second wife, Eleanor of Solms-Hohensolms-Lich, in 1905. Their eldest son, Georg Donatus, eventually married Princess Cecilia of Greece and Denmark, the sister of Prince Philip, the future Duke of Edinburgh. In 1937, Cecilia wore the tiara to the coronation of King George VI in London. She was documented in it at formal portraits. A few months later, the family needed to travel back to London, this time for the wedding of Georg's younger brother, Prince Ludwig, who was marrying the Honorable Margaret Geddes. The wedding was scheduled for November 20th, 1937. The family booked seats on a Sabina Junkers JU 52/3M, registered 00-AUB, flying a route from Munich through Frankfurt and Brussels toward London. Grand Duchess Cecilia was 8 months pregnant. On November 16, 1937, at 2:47 in the afternoon, the aircraft hit the chimney of the Briqueteries Nationales brick factory near Steen Aerodrome outside Ostend, Belgium. The chimney was approximately 65 meters high. The plane struck it in dense fog while attempting an emergency landing. It crashed and burned. There were no survivors. The Belgian official inquiry concluded that Grand Duchess Cecilia had gone into premature labor during the flight. The pilot had been attempting to land because of her condition. The remains of a newborn were found in the wreckage. Killed in the crash: Georg Donatus, hereditary Grand Duke of Hess; Cecilia; their 2 young sons, Ludwig and Alexander; Dowager Grand Duchess Eleanor, Georg's mother; Ernst, second wife, the woman who had worn this tiara since 1905; a friend of the family, a gliding pioneer, the governess, the pilot, wireless operator, and mechanic. 11 people total, plus the newborn found in the debris. Prince Ludwig, the intended groom, the man the entire family had been traveling to celebrate, was already in England, waiting at the arrival terminal. He was informed his family had crashed. He married Margaret Geddes privately the next morning, November 17th, with guests in mourning clothes. His best man replaced at the last moment because the original best man had been on the plane. Among the wreckage, recovered from the burned site near Ostend, searchers found a strongbox. Inside the strongbox, the Hesse strawberry leaf tiara, intact, undamaged. The people who had packed it into the strongbox for travel were dead. The tiara wasn't. Prince Ludwig inherited it. He and Margaret never had children. Ludwig died in 1968, ending the hereditary male line of Hesse and by Rhine. The tiara passed to the Hessische Hausstiftung, the foundation of the House of Hesse, based in Darmstadt, Germany, the institution that now manages the family's cultural heritage, including their art collection, their castles, and their jewelry. The foundation brought the tiara to London in 2002 for the Tiaras, a History of Splendor exhibition, where Geoffrey Munn's catalog photographed and documented it. The credit on the image in Munn's book reads, Hessische Hausstiftung. Nobody from the Hesse family has worn it since Cecilia wore it at the king's coronation in the spring of 1937. That is now nearly 90 years. The tiara, designed by a loving father for his daughter's wedding, has survived the death of its maker, the death of its intended recipient, the collapse of the German monarchy, the Second World War, and a plane crash that killed the family carrying it. It sits in a German foundation vault in Darmstadt. Every person who ever placed it on their head suffered serious tragedy. Whether that represents a curse or the intersection of historical violence with the particular misfortunes of a particular royal family's generations is a question each viewer can resolve for themselves. The documented facts are enough on their own. Number 2. The Tech Crescent, a reconsideration. The Tech Crescent was placed at number 10 because its story felt like fashion obsolescence, straightforward and without darkness. But there is something worth returning to here. 84 years. 4 monarchs have held this tiara: the Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth II, and now Queen Camilla. And not one of them has chosen to wear it publicly since the 1939 Canadian Royal Tour. Queen Camilla has had access to this piece for over 2 decades, first as Duchess of Cornwall and now as Queen Consort, and has never placed it on her head for any occasion. 20 diamond crescents and 3 diamond roses assembled by Gerard in 1882, wearing a frame last updated in 1937, sitting in a royal vault while every state banquet, every formal reception, every tiara-eligible occasion, goes to something else. The Tech Crescent might be the purest example of collector's inertia in the entire royal collection. It exists, it's accounted for, it's on long-term loan to a reigning queen. It's simply never chosen, and no one at Buckingham Palace has offered any explanation for why. Number 1. The Strathmore Rose Tiara. The vault opens. November 21st, 2023. Buckingham Palace is hosting a state banquet for Yoon Suk-yeol, the President of the Republic of Korea, and his wife, Kim Keon-hee. King Charles III and Queen Camilla are at the center of proceedings. Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, are attending. The guest list runs to the scale of formal state occasions: foreign dignitaries, government ministers, senior royals, all of it. Catherine walks in wearing something nobody in the room has seen before. The tiara is diamond, delicate, a naturalistic garland of 5 roses with diamond leafage connecting each bloom. The flowers sitting softly against her hair, not towering above it. There is something almost restrained about it compared to the Cambridge lover's knot, or the high kokoshnik pieces that dominate most tiara coverage. But royal watchers in the room and watching from home immediately know they are looking at something they have never seen her wear. And then, as identifications start being made, the picture gets sharper. This is the Strathmore Rose Tiara, the piece that was gifted to the Queen Mother at her wedding in 1923. The piece that hadn't been on a single person's head in public since approximately 1935. The piece that Queen Elizabeth II held in the royal collection for 20 years and never wore. The Hindustan Times noted the following morning that Kate had become the only royal in 100 years to have ever placed it on her head. The gap from the 1923 gifting to the 2023 wearing is exactly 100 years. The gap from the last documented wearing in the mid-1930s to 2023 is approximately 88 years. Both framings appear in coverage of that evening. Vanity Fair headlined it as Kate having rescued a century-old tiara from the royal vault. Fashion director Bethan Holt, quoted in People magazine, described the Strathmore Rose as a lost treasure and noted that if there was anyone to wear that tiara, it was Kate. She was the woman to wear it and carry it forward. Lauren Keena of the Court Jeweler blog told People that the choice signaled a deliberate continuity message. Kate has always signaled that she'd like to emulate the Queen Mother's royal role, and wearing her jewels is an important symbol of that continuity. No official statement from Kensington Palace explained the selection. The tiara was simply there, on her head, after 100 years in the dark. What the 2023 moment proves, the only thing it actually proves, and it proves it completely, is that the vault isn't permanent. A tiara can sit in Windsor Castle for a century and then come out for a state banquet for the President of South Korea. The reasons pieces get vaulted are real. Fashion changes, wearers die, styles become obsolete, political associations become complicated. Collections grow large enough that some things simply never get chosen. All of that is true, and all of it's documented. But none of it's irreversible. The Strathmore Rose sat in the dark for 88 years, and then Kate Middleton put it on. The question the vault asks every time a new royal puts on a familiar tiara at yet another state banquet is, what else is in there? The Triumph of Love, with its Persian turquoise stones and its lover's knots, last seen on Princess Margaret. Is it still in a Windsor vault? Or did it pass out of royal hands in the 2006 sale? The Hess strawberry leaf, unclasped from the head of its last wearer in 1937 and kept ever since by a German foundation that hasn't put it on display since 2002. Will it ever be worn again? The Tech Crescent, 20 diamond crescents and 3 diamond roses on an 1882 frame, now the property of a sitting queen consort who has never touched it publicly? Somewhere in Darmstadt, in Windsor, in the private vaults of European royal families who no longer have thrones. Those objects are sitting in the dark right now, waiting, in the most literal sense, for someone to make a different decision. If you want more stories like this, subscribe, and we'll keep going through the rooms.